You are listening to episode 181 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John, and I'm joined by Brian.
Hey, everybody, here at the Game Deflators Podcast, we like to talk about games we've recently picked up, games we're currently playing, and things get odd in this week's Inflation Deflation Challenge.
That was the most simple but effective one that we have ever done to date.
You know, if I keep going up, eventually I'm going to peak. So
Yeah.
I got to delay that as much as possible.
Yeah, I can see that being an issue. So this week we played some Odddorld on the PS5, some Soulstorm. And I wish you should have incorporated some Soulstorm brew in that intro.
You know, I was thinking about it, and usually I do like to do something not so obvious, but, whatever.
Yeah,
it's odd.
it is
It
odd.
stands out for that.
For sure. So we'll talk about that in our Inflation Deflation Challenge for the week. I'm going to, of course, mix things up as I always do on a week-to-week basis. This week we're going to be talking about Sonic 2 because, it's become the highest-grossing video game movie in U.S. history. But on top of that, we'll be talking about a little bit of Super Mario Bros. The animated film and how that's going to compare. We'll talk Final Fantasy 16 and it being in its final stages of development, and Starfield being too big for its own good, says a former dev. Also, you can find this episode on thegamedeflators.com. You can find us on any podcast application, including the one you're listening to right now. You should leave us a review. You could also find us on Facebook and Instagram at The Game Deflators and Twitter. Twitter, not Instagram again. Twitter. The Game Deflators. I'm just kidding. It's at Game Deflators.
If for some reason you're unable to find this podcast on the application you're currently listening to it on,
then we're doing something
let
wrong.
us know in the comments.
Yeah. Well, that if they wouldn't they wouldn't be able to find it. Yeah. If it's not on that I guess they could technically listen on like YouTube or something like that, and it'd be like it's not on this podcast app that nobody knows about.
Actually, I did want to ask. I didn't ask you about this, but we can ask the people in case they want to chime in. If we were to segment out and put on YouTube just the inflation deflation in like its own little playlist, is that something you would be interested in?
That'd probably be nice, just to do the reviews.
Yeah, just something so that people could have just a little tidbit.
Might require you to do a little audio editing.
Yeah, it might.
Because
that's the part of that I was worried about. But
that'd
it's totally fair. It was my idea.
Because I'd be doing double,
Anyways, this week, John, what'd you pick up?
I had pickups. I actually had pickups. So we, my wife and I last Sunday decided, hey, let's go get some breakfast. Because we were supposed to meet up with some friends. They had to cancel for whatever reason, or some old coworkers of mine. And so now that that's being rescheduled, we're like, well, let's go get breakfast at whatever location. And there was a Goodwill not too far from there. I'm like, well, it's a 40-minute wait for breakfast, so we should totally just go check out Goodwill because they just opened up.
That's what they're good for.
That's what they're good for, yeah. So I actually was surprised. I walked in, and there was a mountain of Xbox games. I guess somebody had recently donated. And it had a number of Halo games. So I got a Halo Anniversary Edition on the 360. I also got, which is I think a remake of the original Halo, by 343 Industries, whatever we're called, 438. I don't remember.
343. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not super familiar. I went from Halo 3 to Halo Infinite.
Yeah, I went from Halo 3 to No More Halos. So I picked that up. They also had the Halo like remastered or something like one.
Oh, the Master Chief Collection.
Yeah, Master Chief.
That's
Collection.
a good one. That's gotten like a lot of facelift over time, but I mean, who knows like if stuff like that even matters anymore.
Well, that one's being sold. So that one I got on Xbox One. I don't own an Xbox One. I'm not gonna ever get an Xbox One. So yeah, that's just gonna get sold. I also picked up Dukes of Hazzard on the original Xbox, and then I got Gears of War, the triple pack as well, which has Gears of War 1 and 2 and then some expansion stuff. I love the Gears of War franchise, so that'll be pretty cool to dive back into that at some point. I also got DJ Hero 1 and 2, and the only reason I picked those up is because I found 2 Xbox turntables, and turntables actually can go for a little bit. So I figured, sell those, get to keep some extra, and then, of course, buy some other games with it. So that was my pickup. I see you did not have any pickups, so I'm going to jump into what I beat recently, and that is It Takes Two. So wife and I finally beat It Takes Two. Absolutely loved it, dude. It is
Game of the year.
Game of the year, 100%. It's so good, dude. I know we had like our own games of the year that we typically do, but like as far as the awards are concerned, this definitely deserved it. It was so good, dude. Like just every single component of it, we were fully engaged at all times. The multiplayer aspects of it, where you really do have to work with each other, are just top notch. It all is super fluid, very well made game. I highly recommend it. If you haven't played It Takes Two yet, definitely check it out. If you are single and just have friends, you can also play with them. Versus having to play with a significant other. So that's an option there for you as well. We then jumped into our next game because my wife got to choose the next game, and so she chose Super Lucky Tale on PS4.
Of course she did.
Of course she did.
It's
right?
so adorable. How could she stay away?
It actually is adorable. So we started playing that the other day, and we're on like World 3 or 4. Actually, we just finished World 3, so we're gonna be on World 4. It's only like a 6-world game with like 5 worlds.
Oh, so you're like halfway done.
Yeah, we're already like halfway done. We'll beat it probably next week. By next week, it should be done. But that game in particular, it's very kid friendly. And I don't say that because like the characters are all cutesy and it's specifically for kids. I say it in the fact that it is super, super easy. I think we have died maybe twice, and it's usually been because we accidentally fell somewhere. It wasn't a matter
bottomless
of like
pit.
Yeah, something stupid, or like we just had like a bunch of sharp objects coming our way type of thing. But it's super easy. It kind of reminds me of Donkey Kong in a sense, tied with, I wouldn't say like Mario, but you have both a side-scrolling platform game and then that ukulele style where it's I guess the new ukulele was side-scrolling, but basically like ukulele or Donkey Kong. So you have
it feels like a rare game.
Yeah, you have certain things you got to collect. So like you have the lucky letters, and you got to collect lucky throughout, which Kong, kind of same deal there. You have these pages that you have to collect, so it's similar to ukulele, where you're getting this giant book, and you're going to have this book that opens up and restores your family or something like that. And then you just pick up mystery pages and then a bunch of coins in a level, and then when you beat the level, you get another page. So like basically every level is the same concept. Mystery page from a bonus type level. There are bonus levels throughout the different worlds. Collecting the lucky, and then also getting 300 plus coins, and there's always like 400 something coins a level for the most part, and super easy. So yeah, that's the child friendly aspect. So if you got kids, great game. I think it's fantastic. It's a little less frustrating than Donkey Kong for a younger audience. So if you want to get them into that style of gameplay, this would be a great one to do it.
If you don't have kids, me either. Good job.
Yeah. Let's see. So we played Apex as well. Justin and I were, oh my God, dude. Justin and I on the Sentinels just get stupid. We were playing a match yesterday, or really just last few matches we played, where we're both running Sentinels with the extra
ping,
the amp thing or whatever. Yeah, and it's like there's so many times where he's like aiming at somebody and I'm aiming at the same person. It's like, pew, pew, and the person goes down instantly. Fantastic stuff. So we were playing that last night. Had a lot of fun. I almost got the silver 1. I got about one more match, I think, until I'm silver 1 in arenas, which it is hard to get past anything higher than silver in that game for arenas for some strange reason. The point system just sucks. We played with one guy last night that was actually gold in arenas, and I'm like, how the hell did that even happen? I think a lot of it comes down to, if you got a pretty good squad that you kind of maintain things with, and it's like always, like higher end players, it's great, and you can pick up the slack. But if you're in a situation like Justin and I were last night, we lost like 5 or 6 games in a row. He and I were actually doing pretty well, but our teammates were absolute dog shit. So it's like, how are you supposed to move forward when it's always a 3v2, like in every situation?
You guys get another friend.
Yeah, we need another person to play. Well, I'd play with my brother, but he'll smoke and get high, and he'll play while he's high. And it's like, you can't do that. Like, it's just so difficult to...
We're being serious here.
This
is a serious game time.
He screws around. He'll like just 1v3 people and just stupid shit. So either way, we ended up getting on a pretty good streak last night. It was funny. We started playing this one guy, and we're like, oh man, like I can't believe we only net like 20 points on this guy's like, oh, you guys better not be trash. And it's like, no, we're not trash. We just had like really bad players. And so it ended up being a 3v2 situation where it was us 3 versus 2 people. And the guy's like, oh, you guys got to take it seriously. Like, you got to take it seriously. I'm like, yeah, we'll take it seriously. Like, a 3v2, we're not going to take it seriously. So I think I had 1 kill on 4 points of damage the whole time. And the guy's like, oh, you guys are terrible. I'm like, okay. Last round, I like unloaded 600 damage on these people. It was just hilarious, man, like how it all worked out. But the guy tried to get us to join his party, and there was disconnection issues and stuff.
Yeah.
So that kind of sucked. And then Ocarina of Time, I've been playing that at night when I'm trying to, when I don't fall asleep in the middle of it. I was gonna play it the other night, but because I finished up my tattoo, I was totally wiped. And like 11 o'clock, I just crashed. Otherwise, I would have played it. But I'm still in the forest temple. I'm just trying to pretty much light up the 4 pillars in the forest temple. It's the puzzle element. I guess now I'm kind of in a sense. I said it wasn't very challenging at first. Now it's it's not necessarily challenging the puzzles. It's more so annoying because it's not like your standard puzzle. Like some of this stuff is just stupid. And one of them, for example, was I know what I got to do. Now, I thought about it last night, and then I looked it up just to make sure. But in the forest temple, there's like one of these eyeballs that you have to shoot with an arrow. And if you don't have a certain move, you can't really use it, right? So you apparently get your arrow and you shoot it through a torch and then hit this eyeball, right? And that's fine. But there's like other aspects of it. Like if you hit the eyeballs with the arrow and you finish that portion, you got to go all the way back around and you got to hit the eyeball again that was already closed so it redoes its thing. I'm like, when you think about it, there's a reason people got stuck in those levels so long ago. Because there's just so many like intricate puzzles that are tied to it.
Well, and they had the Nintendo helpline back then.
Well, that's true, and they made money off that. So, I mean, honestly, it's a little frustrating. And, the fact that if I use a guide to find these things, nobody's really going to bitch at me because everybody and their mother used guides on this game back then. So I don't feel too bad about that. But, yeah, I don't know, man.
Generally, how often do you really use guides in games? Like, are you a person who's like dead opposed to it, or?
No, I'm not dead opposed to it. It depends on the game, to be honest. So, obviously, something like Super Lucky Tail, I'm not going to use a guide on because it's pretty straightforward. It Takes Two. I didn't use a guide for that at any point. We were so into it. And
what about like RPGs? You're a big RPG guy.
I really don't, unless I'm like so it depends on what the RPG is. So like Suikoden, for example, Suikoden 2, could I beat Suikoden 2 on my own? Yeah, no problem.
But you wanted to get all the people.
But I wanted to get all the people.
Yeah.
And I'm not about to sit there.
Some of those are hard.
Well, yeah, and then some of them are like a matter of if you don't get them at that point in time, you never get them, and then there's your ending. So Suikoden 2, I knew that there was a good ending for that, like a really good ending for that game. And I wanted to get the really good ending. So that's the only reason I kind of went with a guide for that. But it was mainly just to like get certain characters. When it came to like weapon development, or not weapon development, but like, boosting characters and stats and that type of stuff, it wasn't fully necessary for me to use a guide because it's straightforward. Same with like Final Fantasy games. Like I could beat a Final Fantasy game all day long, no problem. Like 15, totally beat it without a guide, no issue. But if there were certain things I wanted to do,
special weapons,
yeah, like anything like that, then yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna like
secret bosses,
yeah, exactly, stuff like that. Dark Souls, I never use a guide for those games. Same with like Bloodborne and all of that. I just enjoy playing those games through, and I explore so much of those games anyways. It's not a big deal because I usually find things left and right in that game. Like it's not a big problem. So yeah, I'm not super opposed to it. It just depends on the title and whether I feel I need it, or if I'm stuck, then I'm like, all right, I'll just YouTube it in this exact spot. And 9 times out of 10, when you look at that YouTube video, it's got a crap ton of views and a ton of comments. Are like, yep, I was stuck here. I would have never got past. So
yeah.
It's like, it makes sense sometimes.
They put those points in games sometimes.
Yeah.
It stirs conversation and gets people talking.
Yeah, exactly. So that's just how it works out. But yeah, that's it for me, man. I did a lot of gaming, actually, now I think about it. And then I guess the only other thing is that you and I played some Magic today. Yeah. Which was, for me, a lot of fun. That was something else with those 2 decks, man.
Yeah. Not great.
Yeah, not great for Ryan, but great for me. Lockdown completely. It was fantastic.
Yeah, so I didn't really have any pickups this week. I did. So on Xbox Game Pass, you can go in and like preload games so that once they go live, you're like good to go. So Trek to Yomi comes out, I think, on May 6th. So I've got that preloaded. I'm very interested to check that out once it comes out. Still been playing a little bit of Dragon Quest XI. I kind of started consulting a guide for the first time a little bit this morning to go get some more recipe books, because like I've only had like the recipes that I started with, and in the game, when you craft items, you can get like up to a +3 if you craft it perfectly. And there's like a little mini game where you have like you're hammering out like the form of the weapon. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
And I've been missing all those the books and stuff because like I'm never really one to like look at the books on the bookshelves in games too much. Mm-hmm. So when you make something, you get these other items that let you go back and recraft anything. Not just something that you have a recipe to make, but like you could go buy a weapon at the store and then just reforge it and make it a +3.
Yeah.
So I started doing that, messing around with the inventory stuff a bit. And I was like, you know what? I'm actually engaging with more of the RPG mechanics and trying to like item up my people and stuff. I've gotten to the point where I got another character in my party, Sylvando, and we're in this port town that like sounds almost similar to the last town we were in. I don't remember what that one's name was either. It was like Delopolis or something. I don't know what this place is. But anyways, I just got there. And I'm having fun with it. I think that like I was hesitant at first. I was like, I'll just mess around with this until I get bored with it. And now I'm starting to want to keep playing it a little bit more, keep adding to it. I think this will be like something good to kind of have on the side as I'm going forward and maybe try to run like a couple games at a time. So I probably won't really start anything new this week. I'll probably just keep going through this a bit and then check out Trek to Yomi when that comes out.
Nice.
Maybe eventually I'll get back to Elden Ring. Who knows?
Yeah, I'll probably end up beating Elden Ring before you do.
Dude, no doubt.
Yeah, I think after Ocarina of Time, I am going to jump into Elden Ring, and then Majora's Mask will be my big one that I'm going to do. However, I probably won't get started till September. And, of course, you and I know September is going to be busy for me.
Yes.
So
Zero chance of finishing.
Well, no, there's a huge chance I'll be finishing it because I'll be off for a number of weeks. So I'll knock it out. But it's more so a matter of I won't be able to, like, talk about it on the podcast because we'll have a lot of, pre-recorded content during that time. Unless you bring people on and,
And then we'll talk about what you're doing, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. Sounds good. Okay, well, let's jump into some of these topics this week. So the first one being Sonic 2, man. It is highest grossing video game movie in U.S. history.
And you've finally seen it.
I finally saw it, dude, and I thought it was awesome.
There is a slight caveat. So it is the #1 grossing film unless you count
Tomb Raider
inflation with Tomb Raider for Lara Croft. But
it'll surpass that.
Yeah, it's still early. So, I mean, if they can crank out another 50 million, do you think they'll crank out another 50 million?
I would think so.
Because I think this is just domestic box.
This is just domestic, yeah. So this isn't global. I mean, given the global things going on right now, who knows?
Do they count like streaming stuff?
I don't think they do in this type of information. I think this is usually
because Lara Croft didn't have to contend with that.
No, and I think this is exactly. So I think this is just U.S. box office. But is it on streaming like HBO or anything yet?
It will be in a month. I think that stops a lot of people from going to the movies now because like you don't have to wait like 8 months for the DVD to come out.
I gotcha. I mean, my theater when I went the other day after 2 weeks in theaters was packed. But I went on a Tuesday, and you know how that theater is. It's like $5 a movie, so it ends up being great. Which is awesome, dude. Like, dude, I love paying $10 for my wife and I, and then getting dinner. Like, get a pizza for $12, like $22 for us to like have dinner in a movie.
Would you think of the movie? We hadn't talked about it last week.
No,
right?
we didn't talk about it last week. Because I just saw it this past Tuesday. Dude, it was awesome. I mean, the whole Robotnik aspect, and him with the mushrooms, and that whole world, and seeing him like use his genius to kind of get back, and how that all worked out was pretty hilarious. I loved Knuckles.
Knuckles was the best.
I thought that
Idris Elba.
The thing is, I don't play enough of the Sonic games to like know Knuckles' personality, and if he has like that type of, that speech aspect, or not even that, but just like the innocence that he has tied to him. So it's like this big, bulky, echidna, but he's just got this innocence that goes about him that's like he doesn't know any better on certain things. So like when they were doing baseball, for example, I guess spoilers, right? So spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, but probably have by now. when they're doing baseball at the end, and he's like, "Oh, I stole the base. I stole the second base. I stole the third base. And now I'm stealing the home base." And he's like, "I beat you all in baseball or the ball of base or whatever it was." And like that was pretty cool, doing that whole deal. I loved the Gold Sonic.
Yeah.
That I knew it was going to happen though. So like I didn't know like from spoilers. I just knew that they were going to bring in Gold
Once you
Sonic.
have the gem,
the
Chaos Emerald, of course you're going to have Supersonic.
The second are just like Chaos Emerald. And,
Yeah.
well, I mean, I haven't played all those games, like the newer ones.
I haven't either, dude. But we know Sonic.
I know, and I know there's Gold Sonic. So when they're just like, Chaos Emerald, I'm like, oh. Or wait, it was a Master Emerald, I think, isn't that what it is? Yeah, it's Master Emerald. So they're like, oh, it's a Master Emerald, and then you have the Chaos Emeralds in general. I just knew right off the bat when I heard that word, I was like, yep, we're going to see Gold Sonic at some point. And that was badass. And I absolutely love the, like, he's this godlike figure, and he brings down the chili dog.
Yes.
I was like, that was beautiful. So it was a fun film, like you said. It kind of just kept going, kept you into it the whole time. And then, of course, there is an end credits scene. So if you are pissed at us because of spoilers right now, I will not spoil the end credits scene. But the end credits scene
stuff is so... I'm, like, over it at this point.
No, dude. Like, that was a badass end credits scene. Like, well, here's the thing.
Well, no, but, like, as far as spoilers, like, this one isn't even related to the movie. Like, you could tell somebody, like, what the end game, like, after thing was for this, and it wouldn't matter to the movie.
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't want to spoil the end credits scene in particular, because that's a cool scene. So if you haven't seen the movie and I just spoiled everything else, you'll love the end credits scene. So stay for like, it's midway through the credits. It's not even like end credits.
Yeah.
Just after
that's a Marvel
initial
gimmick.
Yeah, well, and some movies do it like at the very end, which kind of frustrates me. And that, dude, every time I finish a movie, I'm like, end credits scene, like in X movie. Mm-hmm. Cool. There is? Awesome. We'll stay for a little bit.
Yeah.
Nope, let's bolt.
That's what everybody does.
Yeah.
Now.
So, yeah, and it sucks because Marvel's want to kind of set that precedence, Yeah. So, I don't think it's going to have any issue on a global basis. I mean, it might, but surpassing, I think it was Warcraft, which had like 430 something million, outside of, total global box office sales. But what's crazy about that is it was like,
there's like 50 million domestic.
It's only 50 million domestic. Yeah, it got slaughtered domestically, which is crazy. Like, why was it so popular overseas?
CG.
I guess
America makes the best CG.
I mean, I guess, but it doesn't take away from the fact that it's supposed to be a really shitty film.
Well, and also I think that, like, the WoW audience international is probably like bigger than it is domestically, even though it's an English game.
I guess, but yeah, I think
an American-made game.
Yeah, as long as this is domestic or on a global basis, and it's got as much time in theaters as as in the U.S., which I don't know because of the whole COVID situation too. That's another big part of it. Like, is it going to break certain records? Globally because of COVID. Like, it's not the same situation here where people are just running into the theater with, no masks and stuff. And I don't know what shut down in the rest of the world. Like China, I'm sure is a big proponent of like going to this film, or could be, but given their situation with COVID right now, and I think they still have lockdowns in certain cities, that's going to kind of, hinder this movie's ability to kind of move further. But who knows?
We'll see. Yep. Anyways, it's going to get stomped out by Mario Bros. Next up, we got Super Mario Bros. Animated movie details leaked. This is coming to us from Brian at Nintendo Everything. I saw this just this morning, I think, or it might have been late last night. I don't remember.
Oh, by the way, that last article is Ryan O'Rourke of Collider.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yep.
So, they have basically a two-part thing here. The top part is kind of just some general things about the movie, and then the bottom part is like a plot by plot spoiler for the whole movie. It's shy of being a wiki plot summary just because they don't have all the connecting bits, but everything's there. So if you want to know everything about this musical masterpiece before it hits theaters, you can go ahead and read this. Now, they did say that there are a few things that are going to be interesting. It's going to be a musical type movie with, I think they said, at least 3 songs in it.
Yeah, that disappoints me.
So, okay, I love musicals, and I have 0 problems with seeing Mario sing. I think it'll be fun. But I guess Nintendo saw like the Jump Up Superstar reaction from Odyssey and how much everybody loved that. And they were like, this is the new thing. We got to make Mario more musical. That's how it's going to catch on. And I think that that's kind of a fun approach to the movie to really go with like the sound. Like Mario's always kind of had like, there was like the Mario Paint with the Mario sound. You know, there's like the new Mario 3D where like the wah wah and like all the, you know, Koopas dance to it and stuff. Like I feel like everybody knows these tunes to a lot of these Marios, and maybe it's been more musically inclined than I imagined this whole time.
You know, see, I read through all of the spoilers on this and read the plot.
I just skimmed because I want some mystery left.
No, I was like, I want to see what the hell. Because here's the thing, man. That movie, for one thing, it's potential that this is what happened, this leak. It could have just been some Joe Schmo writing it up and saying, this is a plot, this is what's happening with Mario. But they're basically saying this was off of like a secret audience viewing, and that's where they're getting all this plot information from, essentially. I don't know, man. It was super in detail, those spoilers, I guess you could say, for the entire film. I'm not looking forward to it. I mean, the whole like Brooklyn accent aspect of it, and like you've got at the beginning they said like what's his name, Charles Martinet kind of reprises his role talking about Mario and all
He's
these
doing the
different
narration.
things, and the narration, and then it goes into Chris Pratt with like Brooklyn voices and Luigi. Like that screams Mario live action film with Toad looking like a Goomba.
Yeah,
you know, like that off the bat. It's like
there are going to be Toadettes.
Yeah, and they probably have like Jersey Shore accents going for them as well. So, I mean, like, I think Nintendo is going to absolutely bomb this movie. I think it's going to be terrible. I think that the inclusion of Chris Pratt, unless it's like very Mario-esque in his voice, because for one thing, it's animated. So it's not like you're going to have Martinet doing his thing, and then you're going to switch the voice over?
Yeah, but so the thing is, Mario has a bunch of iconic wah and that kind of stuff, but Sonic has had like a ton of voices in different games and different media properties, and like we're just fine with somebody else playing Sonic now. Like I think that because Mario's been a voiceless character for the most part, like it's hard for us to imagine, but I think after 10 minutes with the movie, it's just going to be his voice.
But here's the thing though. It's like, based on what they said in these spoilers, if Martinet's doing narration and kind of going through like the different things of what he's done, that means he's probably going to be talking in his voice for Mario.
So they've got lots of movies where they have a narrator doing like, this is me when I'm older, and I'm going to tell you the story about when I was a kid. And then the movie's about a whole different actor playing the same character. Like, you can have multiple voices for the same character within the same property.
How many of those are super memorable?
Dude, I don't know. Big Fish was a good movie. It definitely has that.
I guess. Either way, I am not looking forward to this in that aspect. Looking at what the story is going to be, it does not look appealing to me in the slightest, based on what they're looking to do. And then, you know, at the very end, you know, what they said about, I don't know if you read the very end of it, like what they're anticipating for a closing component. But I looked at it, I'm like, there's no way Nintendo would let that fly. Like, that's going to change in itself. And they already delayed the film. It was supposed to come out December of this year, and now it's being delayed to 2023 because Nintendo probably saw a lot of it and was like, nope, not going to be good. Like, some of the pieces on there that were spoiled were crap. Like, it just spells bad movie, dude.
So, I think that even if it isn't a great movie, I think it'll still do better than Sonic 1.
Oh, yeah, it probably will because it's Mario. I mean, every Nintendo fan's going to watch it, but it could be one of those things that, like, people wait to hear a few reviews and they hear it's terrible and they're like, nope, not going to watch it. Sonic would have gone through, you know, hell if they wouldn't have listened to fans and kind of went through with, like, the initial art style for Sonic's face and everything, which I saw some memes that had Tails with the same style face and Knuckles with the same face. It was hilarious. I couldn't stop laughing about it. But if they would have gone through and not listened to fans, then they wouldn't have had a Sonic 2.
Yeah.
They would have bombed in theaters with Sonic 1. Nintendo is one of those companies where they could have a ton of fan outcry, and they haven't really shown us anything, right? They could have a ton of fan outcry.
And they wouldn't do anything.
And they wouldn't do anything.
They'd be like, make it worse.
They're just
hurry.
They'll still buy it. So, I mean, that's how Nintendo is for the most part from what I've seen. They don't care about fan opinion for the most part. Like, people have been begging for certain games for years, and they're like, here's more DLC content. They just don't care. They know it's going to print money. But I think movies are a little different. I think if they come through and put another bomb of a movie in theaters, any Nintendo movie moving forward is going to have issues.
Now, here's the other thing. If this movie does come out and does super well, how long until we hear about the Donkey Kong movie and the Zelda movie and the Kirby
Donkey
movie,
Kong is in this
the
one.
Animal Crossing movie?
Isn't Donkey Kong in this?
Dude, spin-off City.
Oh my god. Like, I just don't even want to imagine. I hope this movie bombs so that way we don't get a Donkey Kong movie.
Why? Because you're worried that it's going to ruin the company of the Donkey Kong TV show?
I love Donkey Kong. So if they screw Donkey Kong over...
Have you seen the TV show?
No, I haven't.
Oh my god, with the crystal coconuts.
Well, there's a whole other thing. I mean, you think about what Nintendo's put out in the past. Do you really have faith that this is going to be a good movie?
I have faith because of the Sonic movie. This is the best thing.
Sega does what Nintendo don't.
Yeah, fuck Sonic up.
They'll make good
every
movies.
chance they get, and then this somehow made it out well.
Yeah,
and Nintendo knocks it out of the park with everything that they do Mario wise. Like, there's
except film and TV. Like, historically, what do they have that's like really good film and TV wise?
Well, they're not a film and TV company.
They've had Zelda animated and stuff in the past, right? And Link animated. They've had Mario. They had the Mario TV show years ago.
Yeah, but that was like in the
had the Mario movie.
early 90s.
Oh, I know, but dude, same company, man. Look,
that was people licensing out the property.
Look, they've been milking out Mario for years.
All right,
this is no different, Ryan. I think it's gonna bomb.
Speaking of something that's been being milked for years. Final Fantasy 16 is in the final stages of development. This coming to us from Ryan Dinsdale at IGN. Lots of Ryans today.
You missed that name? I'm just kidding. I'm screwing with you because you do it to me all the time.
Oh, yeah, I totally do. So this is going to be awesome, I think. I wanted to talk about this today. So Naoki Yoshida says that the game is in its final stages and that he's really excited about how the story's coming along, and thinks that longtime fans that have kind of drifted away from Final Fantasy, or even like all the legions of people that have gotten in with the story behind Final Fantasy 14 will be able to find a deep, rich story here in 16. I've been thinking to myself and saying for years, like, I want Final Fantasy to go back to like classic fantasy and get away from some of this future fantasy that they've been doing for so long. Not that it's not fine. I just want to see more swords and sorcery and the classic, like, thatched roofs and horses, even though they have chocobos kind of sense. And this is going to be, this is going to be that. I went back and looked at the trailer again, and that's some older footage, and I can't wait to see what the game looks like the next time they show it. I think that some of the comments I was reading were people talking about like, there's like no HUD, so it looks like really boring or immersive in quotes. Who knows if that was even final footage. Like, I remember getting Final Fantasy Type O just for the Final Fantasy 15 demo, and I loved the combat system in the demo that came with that way more than the actual final combat system in 15.
That's what a lot of people say.
So, hopefully, they've learned from their first attempt at making, the live combat Kingdom Hearts rhythm into a traditional Final Fantasy. And this one, I said like a ton in the last couple of sentences. This is going to be hopefully really good looking with what we saw in the Kingdom Hearts trailer recently as well. Them using some of what they've learned from here into their, I did it again.
Yeah,
Now I'm consciously doing it.
Yeah. It's great.
I'm stoked for it. I want it to be good. I want it to lead into Kingdom Hearts being really good. I think that once they finish up with wrapping this, they'll be able to divert a lot of resources over to that new Kingdom Hearts. So hopefully we're not waiting a million more years for that to come out as well. I do know.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I'm really looking forward to this style of Final Fantasy. I mean, 15 kind of went in that direction. I mean, yeah, it was futuristic, but it had a lot of that like kingdom-like atmosphere that was going for it. So that was pretty cool. I loved Final Fantasy 15, actually. It's just the ending that really screwed it up for me. Mm-hmm. That's really ultimately what it was. But the game itself, I thought was great. Combat system was a little lackluster compared to what I would have wanted to see. What I think frustrates me the most, though, about this is they're talking about, Final Fantasy 16, final stage development, blah, blah, blah. Where the hell is Final Fantasy 7 Part 2?
Well, that's the other thing, I guess, that I should have put that they could divert some resources to after this is done.
Yeah, it's just, you have this, multi-game plan for Final Fantasy. What's it going to have? PS6? PS7?
That was 2020? Or was it
20... No, I think it was 2019.
19?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, you'd figure that, the game... And they put it on PS5 recently as well. So it's you'd figure that by now they would have already had something big going in Final Fantasy VII Part 2. That's honestly the reason I did not want it. My wife wanted me to buy it because she's like, hey, I'm going to be on...
April 2020. So it's been 2 years.
Yeah, so she's like... My wife's saying, hey, I want to, buy Final Fantasy VII so that way I can play it and everything. I'm like, well, you should probably play the original so that way you can actually beat it because God knows when they're actually going to finish this remake.
Yeah.
And I mean, at this point, it's going to be 5 years until they're done. It's so frustrating. But, I'm really looking forward to this. It is something that we haven't had for some time in a Final Fantasy franchise, I feel. And it's hopefully going to be good. So I don't have a whole lot of comments on it. What? Were you saying
You said once.
Oh, I did, yeah. See, I only use it one, Ryan. I don't use it.
I know a lot more than you do, John, I guess.
Okay, cool. So our next thing here is Starfield is too big for its own good. And this is a former dev that brought this up. It was Callum Baines at Tech Radar. So Ryan, you can dive into this one.
So former dev from Bethesda went on, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday, I don't remember when I first heard this, posting some stuff about Starfield. On one hand, we've got Final Fantasy 16 looking towards the past and trying to change things up. And now we've got Bethesda looking towards the future, the farthest future they've ever imagined, and giving us space exploration with, according to this dev, extremely boring flight, not great shooting, and it seems like they're still just trying to find the fun. And that sounds like a Bethesda launch if I ever heard of one. I think that this will fit in great with their catalog of previous releases, and I think that me and everybody else in the universe are going to be thankful that we've got Game Pass and we don't have to pay for this day one. We just get to, get in on the ground floor and ride out the 2-year, map of how they're going to fix whatever. He also said that there's probably going to be a lot of cut content that they're not going to be able to finish prior to releasing. And it's classic Bethesda.
I just, what I don't get about some of these devs is just, if you're going to release half a game or 3/4 of a game, release it at a cheaper price point.
Or do it like Square did it. Just never tell us when the next part's coming.
That too. Or just do that. Be like, it's part 1 Starfield. It'll be ready in 4 years. And go from there. But they're going to charge $70 for this. It's going to be buggy as all hell like all their other games. It's not going to have all the content. As of right now, it sounds like it's not very fun. Based on, they've got 6 months to finish it up, I think, is what they're anticipating. It could get pushed back. You never know. Now that Microsoft's kind of at the helm, they may look at it and say, we don't want an inferior product out. We're going to push this out another year, whatever it takes to make sure it's a good game. But at the same time, they're going to be under deadlines to get this done as well. So I just wish that these devs would release it at a lower price point and say, look, we knowingly have not put out the full game here. We're releasing it at, say, $55. You're going to have a ton of great content. And then in the next 6 months, we're going to be releasing downloadable content. It's $15. It's going to cover the remainder of what we were not able to do at launch, so that we have a solid game, and then the rest of it can kind of come through at this point. But obviously that takes more of a roadmap aspect, right? To say we are going to intentionally do this from the start, have this part of a game out, and then do DLC as needed to build upon the story. Versus what it sounds like they're going to try and do is release a bunch of junk, and then over the course of however long, fix that mess, and hope that they could sell a bunch of copies at the same time. And by that point, you've pissed off a ton of people, and of course, you kill consumer. What do you call it? You kill off your consumer base. Like, they're just not happy with you. And a lot of people aren't happy after Fallout 76. It's apparently turned into a great game
because of the DLC.
Yeah, because things have happened over time. But what about all the people that bought it right off the bat? I mean, come on, you're going to keep screwing people over like that right off the bat? It's going to lead to a situation where it's going to have lackluster sales to begin with, because folks are going to say, well, we're not going to buy it right away knowing
it doesn't really matter too much.
Better.
I don't think anymore with the Game Pass approach, because it's only going to be on Xbox. So it doesn't probably even really matter to them how many more they can sell.
Well, I think it matters in an aspect of if you want to see Bethesda continue making great games. Like, say Starfield turns out to be a phenomenal game in 3 to 4 years, right?
Yeah, but Microsoft will keep paying Bethesda devs to make whatever's going to come next, regardless of the success of Starfield. Because
they will.
Elden Ring 6, or Elder Scrolls 6, Elden Ring 6.
I wish.
Elder Scrolls 6 probably be out around the same time as Elden Ring 6. That's going to be the one that's going to push Sony people to buy in Xbox. I don't think that Starfield is going to push anybody to buy an Xbox that doesn't have one, but I almost said Elden Ring again. Elder Scrolls will definitely get some Sony ponies over to buy like an old used Series S just so they can check it out.
I mean, I'll buy a Series S used down the road just to play a few games as well. But I think, when you kind of look at this, I say for consumer confidence was what I was looking for before. Say they do make a great game in 3 to 4 years, that initial launch is going to be telling, right? If consumers are saying, no, we're not going to buy that because we know in a year or two from now it's going to be a much better game, we'll wait to buy it. Well, and now you've released this product, you have lackluster sales. What does that look like from the top up to say, Starfield isn't doing so well its first year, right? Like, we'll let you keep working on it, but it's going to get to a point where they're just going to like cut the cord on certain projects. I think Anthem was one of the big ones, that had issues when it got launched.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's pretty much gone. Like, who the hell's playing Anthem?
Yeah.
So I think you can potentially run into issues like down the road as you continue to put out a lackluster, unfinished game. So
are they going to repackage that cut content as like DLC? Is that something that they'll just work on for the first year as like updated expansions? If they're doing, all the games through Game Pass, are they doing the DLC for free through Game Pass? Because traditionally, Bethesda games DLC has been average to good.
Yeah.
It's usually not terrible, and it usually adds a lot of interesting, different stuff that people tend to enjoy, but that's definitely more money going into their pockets. I'd be interested to see if they're going to be like, all right, the vanilla game is this. All the cut content, that's going to be the first DLC package. That'll be free. But any of the real DLC we plan, you got to buy it with Xbox Fun money or something.
Xbox Fun money. Yeah, I don't know, dude. But I'm just so sick and tired of this. Like, we always have this conversation about these developers putting out unfinished games and such. And it's just...
They're the kings of it, too.
Yeah, for sure. Like, if there is a king of unfinished products, it is them. Okay, let's dive into what is a finished product. And I feel a great product.
And somebody that got screwed over by PlayStation Plus, kind of.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, they kind of knew what they were getting into. So we talked about Oddworld Soulstorm a while back and how it was released on PlayStation Plus, and they had X amount of downloads compared to what they were anticipating selling as physical copies.
They were hoping to get like 400,000 downloads, and they ended up getting like 4 million downloads or something crazy.
Yeah, or it was like 100,000 sales or something like that they were looking at, and they ended up getting several million. So this one is Oddworld Soulstorm. It is developed by Oddworld Inhabitants and published by Oddworld Inhabitants. It is directed by Lorne Lanning, and it was released in
The
April.
luscious Lorne Lanning.
And it was released in April of 2021. It's a cinematic platformer. Reception was around a 6 or an 8 on average. So this game was obviously
We've never played any Oddworlds, either of us.
No, yeah. So we'll preface that we haven't played any of the Oddworld games in the past. I mean, I've dove into it in the past, like played demos and such, but never really got integrated into it. So this was truly my first experience and your first experience into this world. And after experiencing the bit of experience we had with this, I loved it, dude. Like,
I was blown away by the intro cinematic, and like neither of us was expecting them to be speaking English.
Yeah, for
I was
reason.
expecting subtitles in some weird language.
It honestly, like, I was telling Ryan during the recording, I was like, or while we were playing, I'm like, man, I kind of want to do this for my my New Games Resolution next year. Is go through to Oddworld games, because I think I have all of them, actually.
It's a lot of frustrating combat puzzles and stuff.
I mean, yeah, I get it, but that's what guides are for, right? So I might not do all of them, but I might play like Abe's Odyssey or like Abe's Exodus or whatever it is.
They remade the first one, Oddworld, big and tasty, new and tasty, just like last year or the year before.
That's right. I remember that. It was on limited run, and it ended up being released as a normal release. So yeah, that's one I'll have to look into grabbing. God, I should probably just do it while you're talking. So yeah, 6 out of 8. I'll go into my like overall review of it before we do like scores and inflated, deflated. But obviously the cinematic aspects were phenomenal. I felt that the voice acting was great and on par. The storytelling, just to kind of set the tone and what had happened. I think you do technically have to play some of the other ones beforehand because it is a continuation. But despite that continuation, I felt like it had already been integrated into this Oddworld already and kind of knew what was going on.
Yeah, they really were able to make me feel for not just Abe, but the Mudokons, and kind of have an idea of who the antagonist was going to be and some of the history between them, all within, we only played for like a half hour, but like,
I think a little more.
I felt like I was right there ready to go with the rest of the game. I don't really think you need to go back and do the others, but it probably just makes it that much richer of an experience and probably gets you ready for some tough puzzles coming up.
Yeah, exactly. In what we played, because we didn't get to like where you get any of your followers and like use them for certain things, but we had like the meditation thing. I forget what they called it, but you're able to control different enemies and such. So in this case, controlling the different characters with guns and killing other ones, opening up certain doors. You had the Soulstorm brew, which was flammable, which is hilarious.
That environmental interaction between water and fire and spreading fire, those are always fun systems in games.
Yeah, I agree. And I love the side-scrolling component of it. I think all of them are side-scrolling, if I'm correct.
They're all these cinematic platformer. Well, no, except for Munch's Odyssey was like a 3D thing on the original Xbox, and Stranger's Wrath was like a shooter.
Yeah, and those are both on Xbox. So yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great. The music was also phenomenal, and it's so, if you got surround sound, so worth it.
It sounded really good.
And the haptic feedback on the control was really nice on the PS5. So that was also a lot of fun. So your overall thoughts?
I definitely think that this was a game that people would have been super happy to get on that PS Plus. I definitely have been wanting to play some of these games for a long time. I think I talked about this even last time. I used to watch Cat Icarus a lot, and he absolutely loves these games. So his videos got me interested in them a long time ago. So having my first time messing around with it, obviously this is the latest in the series, so it's going to be the most refined and the most set up as far as modern, contemporary gaming controls. I didn't feel like it was really a cinematic platformer. Running around, double jumping, very responsive, very able to control and turn on a dime. I don't think that's traditional to the series, so I think that even in the reception on Wiki, it's quoting somebody talking about how good the movement felt, but that the game is ultimately held back by some bugs and stuff here and there. I don't really know to speak on, the condition of the game, but I definitely think that it's something that I would want to play more. I would want to see more, especially of this, even if I don't ever wind up going back. I have a feeling this is one of those games that I I might only wind up playing this in the series. Because maybe those other ones are going to be too old and challenging for me to really get into.
So I was looking up really quick because I was, wondering which Oddworld games have been released in the last, several years. And so they actually have the Oddworld collection. I didn't know this was a thing. So it's on Nintendo Switch, and it has on it Oddworld, I think it's Munch's Odyssey is on here. The Big and Tasty and The Stranger's Wrath are all in this collection.
Nice.
Yeah, so pretty good stuff. And is it The Stranger's Wrath? Which one is the most recent again?
New and Tasty?
Big and Tasty.
Big and Tasty, whatever.
Yeah, so God, it just was there. New and Tasty, yeah. So that's pretty cool, actually.
How much?
$40.
$40? That's pretty good.
That is actually not a bad deal for those 3 games. I have all of them except the New and Tasty one. So, yeah, dude. I mean, I agree with your aspects of it too. I think that this could be a game that I myself also could play, without playing the other games and have a lot of fun in doing it. I do think, just looking at it and what we experienced today, I would want to continue playing this. And I think that if you have not played any of the Oddworld games, maybe start by picking up one of the older ones, maybe doing the collection here and just kind of giving yourself some background. But overall, I felt that it was just phenomenal. I would say it is more in that 8 range in what we've experienced.
Yeah.
I would say at its current price point, which we'll get into in a minute, that it's totally worth picking up.
I think like the weirdness and the ugliness of the characters makes me want to see more of this world.
Yeah.
Like we saw the bad guys rolling in on their big sky blimp ship, just spewing out smoke, and the guy looks like a gangster and talks like he's from, New York or something.
And he's got no arms, right?
Yeah, and the squigs like just talking weird. It's definitely an odd world, and I really want to see more of what's going on. I know in like Stranger's Wrath you're running around shooting little critters and stuff out of crossbows, and like most of your ammo is like living things. So it's definitely one of those things that has a lot of world building that's been done, and I wonder how much of that really comes across if you don't experience the old ones. Like if you don't know, going into this first part, like who that bad guy was, what his species is. You don't know about the old games where they were like turning Mudokons into popsicles or something. So I'm guessing that the Soulstorm brew or whatever is somehow made out of Mudokons also, because it seems like they're always getting farmed up.
Yeah, it would make sense. I was checking to see if they had a Target because I wanted to go to Target today for that collection. Target, right? But I don't see it there, unfortunately.
Well,
so that kind of sucks.
Getting down to brass tacks on this one. The most expensive version that you can buy right now is the PS4 Collector's Complete in Box, going $200.69. Cheapest version, wow, I did reverse these. Cheapest version is $19.12. That's the loose PS4. We're talking PS5 though today, folks. Complete in box for PS5 going $21.97. That peaked at $49.99 back in July of 21. That's trending down currently. Loose $19.85. Peaked at $36.04 in August of 2021, and that is currently trending down as well. I mean, for almost $20. Complete in box, I definitely say that that's worth it.
Yeah, I mean, that's about what I paid, was $20 complete in box recently. And, dude, I'm looking at the collector's edition, by the way. It looks sick. It's got a nice big statue of Abe on here. And actually, you can pick it up right now for $100 PS5 collector's edition, it looks like.
Cool.
Like, that's actually not a bad deal. So it's actually on sale right now for $149. So, yeah, I agree. I think that this game at $20, I don't want to say inflated or deflated. When it came out at $30-$40, I think it was worth it then. I think it's still worth it now. It is a newish game in terms of how long it's been out. It's only been out about a year. So I think it's worth picking up at that point, man.
So do you think that with what we talked about before and what happened with all the PS Plus downloads that happened for this, does that mean that there's going to be a surplus of the physical copies that aren't going to get sold and eventually, really lowballed in price? Or do you think that, hey, we never have to print another run of these discs and they're just going to slowly disappear and most people are going to forget about it because they have it downloaded in their library?
I think it's the latter on that one. I think that you're going to have, like, they only printed enough of this game to kind of meet what they felt was going to be the demand. And they released that into market, and then everything was on PlayStation Plus, obviously. And they got paid for that piece, too. So I think we're going to run into a situation, like, even like all the Walmart locations that I've been to have had this on clearance. So I think this is going to be one of those games that hits clearance pretty quickly, or it is now. And you're probably going to see it disappearing from shelves, and it's going to be one that you just kind of wish you would have picked up physically. And like, I mean, dude, $20, I got a Steelbook version of this. It's not like I got, a 6 months down the road, it's a standard price. I mean, Steelbook Day 1 edition was $20. It's totally worth it in itself. And the Steelbook's nice. It's actually a very nice Steelbook.
I feel like they do less Steelbooks than they used to. There was a while where Steelbook was like the special edition thing. And now I just think people don't really care about that as much. They'd rather put in pack-in stuff.
Yeah, honestly, dude, like, I'm even considering buying this collector's edition. Like, I'm not kidding you, even though I have it on the normal PS5.
Trade it in.
Yeah, I'm super, super tempted. Oh, I guess I could, yeah. So I'm going to actually add this to my cart so it's sitting there.
Give it to Ben as a present.
I should. Yeah, let's add to cart, and then I'll save for later.
So, little shopping for you folks right here live on the Game Deflators. If you want to let us know what you thought about Odddorld Soulstorm and our shopping experience today, you can let us know somewhere on the internet. GameDeflators.com, at The Game Deflators on Instagram and Facebook. And you can find us at just Game Deflators on Twitter, because they don't like that.
And this would not be the first time I purchased a game live on the podcast.
No.
Yeah, it is.
Far from the last.
It is, yeah, far from the last.
I'm stoked to see this statue, though. You've got some cool statues now, and I bet this will be a good one.
Well, I'm not buying it right now. I'm going to see if it goes down even more. Okay. Yeah, like I have the baby statue, too, for, what's it called?
Death Stranding.
Yeah, Death Stranding. Let's see, Oddworld Collector's Edition. Where's that? Here it is. I'll just open it up for you so you can see from where you're at. Okay, you're probably not going to see it from where you're at. Oh, there you go.
Cool.
Yeah, pretty cool statue. Yeah, I think it'll be worth it. But for now, I'm holding.
Hold.
All right. Next week, we'll have to confirm with him. But we intend on having Barry from Premium Edition Games.
Friend of the podcast.
Nintendo Fuse podcast as well. So he's supposed to be on giving us the most recent update for Premium Edition Games.
Woo.
And their new games that are going to be coming out. So that'll be a lot of fun. So got to chat with him. See for sure that he's coming on. If, unless it's like the week after or something, we'll get it figured out. But I'm pretty sure we booked May.
Barry in the future.
Barry in the future. Yeah, I think we booked May 7th with him. So let's message him a little later. Well, all that said, Ryan, I think it was fun this week.
It was a good week.
I think we did a lot. We're actually, we could probably spoil what we're going to talk about next week. We're going to talk about Yoshi's Crafted World next week. That's our game that we're playing. So it should be a lot of fun. All right. This has been episode 181 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John.
I'm Ryan.
And thanks for listening.